All right, everyone, welcome back to yet again another prospect pool overview, and today we continue on with the St. Louis Blues today. So I like St. Louis's prospect pool a lot, and I think it might be one of the more underrated pools in the entire league, if we're being honest. I like this pool a lot from pretty much top to bottom. There are a lot of underrated guys in this pool who could really do some good with St. Louis as early as next season. As early as next season. So let's get started here with Zachary Bolduc. He is a center from Trois-Rivières, Canada, 6'1", 176 pounds, and he is a Memorial Cup champion. He might be the most underrated player in the entire NHL. One of the more underrated prospects in the whole entire league. I don't see many people talking about how good Bolduc's going to be, and he's just really looking like an impressive player, and he did very good in the QMJHL this past year. Drafted 17th overall in 2021, and in 61 games played this past year with the Quebec Ramparts, he played 61 games, had 50 goals, 60 assists for 110 points. A very good year. The QMJHL has very high scoring, but still he had a really good year. And he also had 19 points in 18 games come playoff time as well. So definitely a good stat line there. He's listed as having great offensive ability, good at handling the puck, and has a great shot as well, which is definitely good. He can score 50 goals like he did this past year in the Q. And I would imagine that this is probably going to be his last season playing in the QMJHL, and I would expect him to make the jump over to St. Louis or Springfield in this coming season in 23-24. That's what I would expect. I would expect probably another AHL season. I wouldn't expect to see him play too much NHL time. He could get the jump. It is possible, but they probably want to have him develop another year down in the American Hockey League, which is a very smart thing to do. And, I mean, of course, other players that I have talked about have taken that path for sure. So definitely it's a good one there for Bolduc to take. But he could be, again, one of the more underrated prospects in the entire league. Not many people talk about how good of a player he is overall. And he definitely deserves some more recognition in that part. Next up then, Dalibor Dvorsky. Center/right wing from Slovan, Slovakia. 6'1", 201 pounds. He was drafted 10th overall in 2023. So, of course, he's a touted prospect, was obviously, drafted top 10 in this past year's draft, and he's looking like he could be another very underrated forward there, too, for St. Louis. In 38 games played with the AIK, which is the Hockey Allsvenskan League, he had 6 goals, 8 assists for 14 points. Not that bad of stats there in a professional hockey league like the Allsvets, and he has very high upside and could be a possible steal for St. Louis there at 10. And a guy who I've seen listed as has good offensive upside, can score well, handles the puck good, and is definitely a solid forward there to add to St. Louis's prospect pool. And I thought St. Louis made out very well in this past year's draft. They had 3 draft picks. 2 of them we're going to talk about in this video. But yeah, Dvorsky I think has been very impressive, and I think could be like the next center that St. Louis has been talking about, but so could Bolduc. So they're very good down the middle, I would say. Speaking of down the middle, you got another center in Zach Dean. Dean is a center from Grand Prairie, Canada. He's 6', 179 pounds. He won the U20 World Junior Gold in 22-23. He was actually drafted by Vegas, but then was traded to St. Louis in the Ivan Barbashev deal in last year's trade deadline. So that's proving to be a pretty good deal for St. Louis, even though we thought it was a steal for Vegas. Dean looks like a very high upside player. In 50 games played this past year with the Gatineau Olympics, he had 33 goals, 37 assists for 70 points. Goes to show he has some very high upside there. Is a good forward. Could do some damage with St. Louis. And hopefully will make the jump to the NHL or the AHL next season. Most likely the AHL with Bolduc. But yeah, I'm very hopeful to see what Dean's going to be able to do, as he is also a nice and underrated prospect that is in the league there. That's your forward core. Prospects for St. Louis there. I think it's very good, and you've got some good, solid young players in there for sure. Moving on to the defense, you got Theo Lindsten. He's one of the other players from the 2023 draft. He is defenseman from Galway, Sweden. 6', 185 pounds, and he won the U18 World Junior Gold in 21-22. So he has that World Junior experience there. Drafted 29th overall in 2023. And look, he's not the best defenseman out of that draft, but still looks like he could have some decent upside there with the St. Louis Blues. In 32 games played with Brianna's IF, he had 32 goals, or 32 games played, sorry, not 32 goals, 32 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. So of course, he's not the best in offensive type styles of game. He looks like more of a defensive defenseman, which is not bad at all. You definitely need guys like that on your roster. And he's listed as being a calm, well-minded player, joint attacks, and also can play well with his stick, poke checking pucks away, making physical plays. Like, he can do well on the defensive end of things there for St. Louis when he comes over, hopefully. But of course, I still think he has some time to develop. Probably another 2 years before we see Theo Lindsten see the eyes of the NHL for sure. Next up then, and I was a little bit hesitant to put him on this list because he has played games with St. Louis, but they weren't since 21-22. I have Scott Perunovich, defenseman from Fibbing, USA, 5'10", 174 pounds. And this guy was touted as a very high anticipated player and definitely a guy who could be a top 4D in St. Louis for sure. However, just the biggest problem with him has been injuries. That's really what it's been. Two-time NCAA winner, so he has that experience there. He's won both times in college. Drafted 45th overall in 2018. He's proven that he could be a possible steal for sure with St. Louis if he can stay healthy. But this past year, I think was definitely a setback. He played 22 games, had 2 goals, 18 assists for 20 points. Nonetheless, still very solid numbers, but 22 games, and that was pretty much it. He was hurt for a lot of that campaign there, and just really that's the biggest issue with him and his journey to the NHL. He's just faced injuries. That's the biggest thing. He's played games in the NHL. He played 19 games in 21-22, but since it's not the requirement for games, and as well as that too, he didn't play at all this year in the NHL. I thought I would put him on this list to talk about him a little bit. But yeah, Perunovich, a little bit concerning injury-wise. Still looks like he could be a solid defenseman just the way he plays. And that's just how it is sometimes. Some players just get hurt. It's just unlucky. It's just how it goes. Finally, then, I have Joel Hofer, a goalie there for St. Louis from Winnipeg, Canada, 6'5", 179 pounds. He looks like he'll be a very good goalie. He looks hopeful there for St. Louis. U20 World Junior Gold in 1920, and as well as that too, a World Championship Gold in 22-23. So he has some hardware there already. He was drafted 107th overall in 2018, and he looks like, and I've seen some hot takes by Blues fans all over Twitter saying that he could take Jordan Binnington's job. Honestly, I really don't know, but I would love to see it. I would love to see a guy come in and play well, especially since a guy who was drafted in 2018 so long ago and made his way developing to the NHL. Definitely hope he will get there eventually. In 6 games with the Blues this season, he played 6 games with them. In 47 games played this past year, though, with the Springfield Thunderbirds. So he spent the majority of the year down below with the AHL affiliate, but he did play some games with St. Louis. He had a 27-15-5 record, a 2.5 goals against average, and a .921 save percentage. The Thunderbirds weren't the best AHL team in the world, so definitely those are good stats. A .921 is definitely pretty good. And as I said, he's hopeful to have a breakout year. That's what Blues fans are saying. They want to see him become the backup, which odds are with Thomas Greiss retiring, and if I'm correct, they didn't sign any other new goalies, I believe Hofer will go into the backup role pretty much right away. Unless if I'm forgetting they signed someone. Oh, they signed Malcolm Subban, but I'm not sure if that means he'll be the backup. Of course, we'll find out. But it looks like Hofer will take that path to the NHL next season and at least play more than 6 games for sure. Other prospects you have in the system for St. Louis, you have Jimmy Snuggerud, another notable prospect there in the forward core. Defenseman Michael Buchner, forward Simone Robertson, goalie Vadim Sarenko, and forward Otto Stenberg. So that was the other guy that's selected there too. So definitely, Otto Stenberg. So yeah, definitely a pretty good prospect pool there in St. Louis, one of the more underrated ones in the league. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like, subscribe, and down below. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're wondering why my tongue is orange, it's because I had gummy bears earlier. I don't know why it made my tongue orange, but if you guys were wondering that during this video, that's why. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.